Did you know your cartilage can regenerate much faster than you imagined? For years, we've heard the same phrase: cartilage never regenerates. Doctors, specialists, even relatives repeat it like an inevitable sentence, as if it were a door that closes forever. And yet, the latest studies have begun to show that this belief is not entirely true. Cartilage, that tissue that protects your joints, that cushions your knees, hips, and shoulders every time you move, has far more potential than most people think. And the most surprising thing is that you don't have to wait months or undergo costly treatments to notice a change. With the right stimuli, results can begin to be felt in just 24 hours. This discovery wasn't born in a distant laboratory, but from the daily practice of an orthopedist who, watching her patients, noticed a pattern that changed her understanding of joint health. While some aged resigned to pain, others seemed to keep enviable mobility even past 70. What was the difference between them? What did they do differently? Today, I want to tell you that secret, a simple yet powerful method that is proven to improve cartilage quality and reduce pain in people of different ages. It is not a magic cure, but a comprehensive approach combining three elements: nutrition, movement, and restorative rest. And best of all, anyone can start applying it from home without expensive treatments. This video is much more than a medical explanation. It is an invitation to look at your body with hope and to understand that it is never too late to improve your mobility. If today you feel stiffness in your knees, discomfort in your hip, or pain that greets you when you get up in the morning, stay with me. Because what you're about to hear can mark a before and after in your life. Over the next few minutes, we'll travel together from the basics, what cartilage really is and why it wears down, to the most revealing: how to stimulate its regeneration in just one day by following a specialist's advice. And in the end, you'll have in your hands a clear guide to start regaining your freedom of movement. Before we continue, I want to ask you something very simple. Tell me in the comments how old you are and where you're watching this video from. I'd love to get to know you a little more and know where in the world you're listening to me. What cartilage really is and why it wears down. Imagine for a moment your joints are like a hinge. Each time you open or close it, there's friction that, if not well protected, would end up damaging the metal. In your body, that natural protector is called cartilage. It's a firm yet flexible tissue that covers the ends of the bones and allows them to glide smoothly against one another. Cartilage is not bone, but it's not muscle either. It's a kind of biological cushion that acts as a natural shock absorber. Thanks to it, you can climb stairs without feeling. Bones knock, walk long distances without pain, or even stand up from a chair with relative ease. Every step you take, cartilage receives the pressure, absorbs it, and distributes it so your joint doesn't wear out so fast. When we are young, this tissue works wonderfully. Picture a brand new cushion, soft, resilient, with enough elasticity to adapt to any posture. But over the years, that cushion begins to lose its shape. Cartilage, little by little, thins and deteriorates. And that's when the discomforts appear that many inevitably associate with age. However, it's important to clarify something. Cartilage doesn't wear out just because you blow out more candles. Time influences it, yes, but it's not the only factor. Think of two people the same age. One leads an active lifestyle, eats well, and keeps a healthy weight. The other is sedentary, consumes too many sugars and fats, and carries extra weight. Though both are 65, their cartilage won't be in the same condition. Wear accelerates due to the combination of three factors: the natural drop in certain nutrients in the body, repetitive movements that create micro-injuries, and lack of proper rest that prevents cartilage from recovering. With age, production of collagen and proteoglycans, the substances that keep cartilage strong and flexible, declines markedly. When this happens, the tissue loses thickness, dries out, and stops fulfilling its role as a shock absorber. Everyday examples show it clearly. Climbing a couple of flights, something trivial at 30, can become painful after 60. Standing too long causes knee discomfort. Even something as simple as rising from a chair can become a challenge when cartilage no longer protects enough. But here's a truth that completely changes the perspective. It's not that you age and everything ends. It's that your body stops producing what it once made in abundance. Collagen, elastin, the fluids that nourish cartilage, become scarcer. They don't disappear entirely, but their production dips. That means your body still has the capacity to maintain and regenerate. It just needs extra help to do so. That's why it's so important to understand what cartilage really is. It's not a dead piece, doomed to wear out without remedy. It's living tissue that responds to what you eat, how you move, and how much you rest. And when you understand this, you stop accepting pain as an inevitable punishment of time and start seeing recovery possibilities. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the factors that can give your cartilage the chance to strengthen and even regenerate, even later in life. What seemed impossible can begin with small steps within everyone's reach. The biggest myths about cartilage. For decades, we've heard a phrase repeated like absolute truth: cartilage never regenerates. Doctors, relatives, even health magazines have repeated it over and over, planting in millions of minds the idea that once cartilage is damaged, nothing can be done. And while that statement has some truth, it's also incomplete and in some cases even misleading. Reality is that cartilage doesn't behave like a fractured bone, which with a cast in time can fuse back together completely. Cartilage follows a much slower and more limited repair process, that's true. But that doesn't mean it's condemned to wear out without remedy. Its recovery capacity depends largely on the stimuli it receives and on overall body conditions. To understand it better, let's think about medical history. Centuries ago, it was believed skin could not regenerate. Wounds were seen as permanent marks, and many thought that once damaged, the skin remained scarred for life. Today, we know skin has enormous repair capacity, and with proper care, it can heal almost completely. The same happened with nails or hair. At some point, people doubted they could grow again if damaged, until observation and science showed otherwise. With cartilage, something similar occurs. For years, it was thought to be an inert tissue, unable to repair itself. But newer studies have shown what we might call a daily micro-regeneration. Small repair processes switch on when the body receives proper nutrients, when the right movements are performed, and when rest allows the cells to do their job. The problem is that, being tissue without direct blood supply, its regeneration is slow and not so evident. That led to the erroneous conclusion that it never regenerates. But in reality, it does so silently and gradually, provided we help it with the right factors. A simple example: think of a rusty hinge. If you leave it untouched, it moves worse and worse. But if you apply oil consistently, little by little it regains mobility. Cartilage is similar. Ignore and overload it, and it deteriorates. Nourish and stimulate it properly, and although it won't mend overnight like bone, it can recover part of its function and give you many more years of pain-free movement. So the big myth, cartilage never regenerates, should be replaced by a more realistic and hopeful view. Cartilage does have repair capacity, but it needs help. It's not enough to wait, nor to resign yourself to time's passing. It's about learning to give your body the tools it needs to activate that daily micro-regeneration the orthopedist discovered in her patients. And here's where it gets interesting. Which concrete factors favor that regeneration? Which habits block it, and which changes boost it? In the next part, we'll see this in detail, because a specialist's story and her patients can help you understand that joint pain doesn't have to be your inevitable fate. The orthopedist's discovery. In medicine, many of the most important findings aren't born in big labs or pricey research projects, but in careful day-to-day observation. So it happened with an orthopedist who devoted more than 30 years to treating patients with joint pain. She didn't seek fame or recognition, only to ease the suffering of those who came to her office. But that meticulous attention led her to discover something that would change the way cartilage is understood. It all began with a detail that seemed insignificant. She treated men and women of similar ages, many with similar diagnoses: osteoarthritis, knee wear, chronic hip pain. Yet she noticed some patients kept better mobility than others, even when radiographic deterioration was virtually the same. How could two people with similar images have such different real-life results? That contrast stirred her curiosity. She began to ask beyond the strictly medical, what did they eat? How did they sleep? What routines did they have at home? What kind of movements did they practice? Little by little, she identified a pattern. Those who took care of certain aspects of their diet, performed gentle, steady movement, and kept more regular rest habits seemed to improve faster, even though traditional science said cartilage could not regenerate. One case that marked her most was Don Manuel, a 78-year-old who arrived resigned. He could barely climb 2 steps without stopping, and pain forced him to spend most of the day seated. Studies showed significant knee wear, and anyone would have said there was nothing to do beyond managing pain with drugs. But Don Manuel had an advantage. He was disciplined and willing to try everything the specialist suggested. Following her recommendations, he started simple adjustments. He modified his diet by adding foods rich in collagen and vitamin C, learned to perform small mobility exercises in water, and set a stricter sleep routine. After a few weeks, changes began to show. First, he could rise from the chair more easily. Then he walked short stretches without a cane. In under 3 months, Don Manuel climbed and descended stairs with much less pain. It wasn't a miracle nor an instant cure, but the result of small, repeated stimuli that activated micro-regeneration processes most people don't know about. The orthopedist then understood something fundamental. It wasn't magic. It was science applied at the right moment. Cartilage did have repair capacity, but it needed specific conditions to activate it, and those who managed to keep those habits saw surprising improvements in mobility and quality of life. So when she began to systematize her observations, what later became known as her 24-hour protocol was born. A series of steps that combined nutrition, movement, and rest in a coordinated way to maximize cartilage regeneration in the shortest time possible. In a few minutes, I'll tell you what that secret is that transformed the lives of patients like Don Manuel and how you can apply it in your day-to-day. But first, it's necessary to understand what role nutrition and certain nutrients play in this whole process, because that's where the true basis of joint regeneration begins. The orthopedist's discovery. In medicine, many of the most important findings aren't born in big labs or pricey research projects, but in careful day-to-day observation. So it happened with an orthopedist who devoted more than 30 years to treating patients with joint pain. She didn't seek fame or recognition, only to ease the suffering of those who came to her office. But that meticulous attention led her to discover something that would change the way cartilage is understood. It all began with a detail that seemed insignificant. She treated men and women of similar ages, many with similar diagnoses: osteoarthritis, knee wear, chronic hip pain. Yet she noticed some patients kept better mobility than others, even when radiographic deterioration was virtually the same. How could 2 people with similar images have such different real-life results? That contrast stirred her curiosity. She began to ask beyond the strictly medical, what did they eat? How did they sleep? What routines did they have at home? What kind of movements did they practice? Little by little, she identified a pattern. Those who took care of certain aspects of their diet, performed gentle, steady movement, and kept more regular rest habits seemed to improve faster, even though traditional science said cartilage could not regenerate. One case that marked her most was Don Manuel, a 78-year-old who arrived resigned. He could barely climb 2 steps without stopping, and pain forced him to spend most of the day seated. Studies showed significant knee wear, and anyone would have said there was nothing to do beyond managing pain with drugs. But Don Manuel had an advantage. He was disciplined and willing to try everything the specialist suggested. Following her recommendations, he started simple adjustments. He modified his diet by adding foods rich in collagen and vitamin C, learned to perform small mobility exercises in water, and set a stricter sleep routine. After a few weeks, changes began to show. First, he could rise from the chair more easily. Then he walked short stretches without a cane. In under 3 months, Don Manuel climbed and descended stairs with much less pain. It wasn't a miracle nor an instant cure, but the result of small, repeated stimuli that activated micro-regeneration processes most people don't know about. The orthopedist then understood something fundamental. It wasn't magic. It was science applied at the right moment. Cartilage did have repair capacity, but it needed specific conditions to activate it. And those who managed to keep those habits saw surprising improvements in mobility and quality of life. So when she began to systematize her observations, what later became known as her 24-hour protocol was born. A series of steps that combine nutrition, movement, and rest in a coordinated way to maximize cartilage regeneration in the shortest time possible. In a few minutes, I'll tell you what that secret is that transformed the lives of patients like Don Manuel and how you can apply it in your day-to-day. But first, it's necessary to understand what role nutrition and certain nutrients play in this whole process, because that's where the true basis of joint regeneration begins. The role of nutrition in regeneration. If we think of cartilage as a cushion that protects our bones, then nutrients are the filling that keeps that cushion firm, elastic, and functional. Without the right material, cartilage dries out, thins, and stops cushioning movement. But when it gets what it needs, it can strengthen and repair itself little by little. One of the most important nutrients in this process is collagen. Collagen is like the mesh that holds cartilage, giving it firmness and structure. With age, natural collagen production drops drastically, and that's why joints begin to suffer. Fortunately, there are foods that help stimulate its production. Bone broth, fish, eggs, and natural gelatin are great allies. Another key nutrient is proteoglycans, which behave like tiny sponges able to retain water and cartilage. Thanks to them, joints stay lubricated and better withstand impact. To support their production, vitamin C is essential. Without vitamin C, the body can't synthesize collagen efficiently. Fruits like orange, strawberry, kiwi, or red bell pepper are perfect allies for joint health. Omega-3 fatty acids are another essential component. They act by reducing inflammation and protecting tissue from excessive wear. Salmon, sardines, walnuts, or chia seeds are excellent sources to include regularly. Carmen's story illustrates it well. She is 69 and had years of constant knee discomfort. She thought it was inevitable with age until she decided to change her diet with a specialist's help. She began taking bone broth several times a week, adding more oily fish to her meals, and consuming vitamin C-rich fruits daily. In under 2 months, she noticed her knees were less stiff in the mornings and she could walk longer distances without her old pain. It wasn't magic, it was the result of nourishing her cartilage with what it truly needed. Your cartilage is like a garden. If you water it with the right things, it blooms. If you neglect it, it dries out and loses life. Each bite you choose can be a step toward deterioration or toward recovery. That's why understanding nutrition's role isn't a minor detail. It's the foundation of joint regeneration. And now that you know which nutrients feed your cartilage, it's time to talk about something just as powerful: movement. Because just as a plant needs water, it also needs sun. And your joints need activity to stay alive. The movements that trigger recovery. Many people believe that when cartilage hurts, the best thing is to stay still. They think that's how to avoid wear. But the reality is the opposite. If you stop moving, cartilage dries out even more and loses its function. The secret isn't stopping, but choosing the right movements. Low-impact exercises are the best allies for regeneration. Walk gently without forcing speed or distance to keep circulation going and nourish cartilage. Water movements are even more powerful because the body feels lighter and joints bear less weight. Swimming, doing mobility exercises in a pool, or even walking in water are safe, effective options. Stretching also plays a key role. Keeping the muscles around the joint flexible prevents unnecessary tension and reduces the load on cartilage. Spending a few minutes each morning on gentle stretches can make a big difference in mobility over the weeks. That said, not all exercises help. Repeated jumping, long-distance running on hard surfaces, or lifting excessive weights can accelerate wear rather than aid recovery. The point is to understand that cartilage needs movement, but intelligent movement that stimulates without harming it. There's a very simple exercise you can try at home. Find a sturdy chair and sit on it. Then, stand up slowly without using your hands, only pressing through your legs. Do it 5 times in a row. This movement, though simple, activates the knee muscles and stimulates the flow of nutrients to cartilage. You don't need costly equipment or complicated routines. Consistency and care suffice. Never stop moving, but move intelligently. That's the golden rule to keep your joints in good condition. Remember, cartilage, though silent, responds to what you do every day. And with the right movements, you can give it the chance to regenerate bit by bit. In the next part, we'll see another fundamental ally often overlooked: rest. Because your cartilage doesn't only feed when you eat or switch on when you move, it also repairs while you sleep in the quietest hours of the night. Sleep and rest as a hidden therapy. Sleeping isn't simply turning the mind off. During deep sleep, your body becomes a silent workshop where tissues are repaired, hormones are balanced, and cellular regeneration is activated. And your joints are no exception. When you enter the deepest sleep phases, your body releases growth hormone. Though its name sounds like something only for kids, this hormone remains essential in adults because it stimulates collagen production and supports the repair of tissues like cartilage. It's like a night engineer overseeing the reconstruction of everything damaged during the day. That's why not sleeping well doesn't just make you tired, it also interrupts this vital process. If your nights are short or restless, cartilage loses the chance to recover. What should be a time of restoration becomes a debt that day by day accumulates as stiffness, inflammation, and pain. After 60, sleeping deeply becomes a challenge for many. Hormonal changes, worries, chronic pain, and even medication affect sleep quality. But strategies can make a real difference. One is to set a fixed routine. Going to bed and waking up at the same time helps train the body to enter more stable sleep cycles. Another tip is to limit screen exposure before bed. Blue light from devices disrupts melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep. Swapping the phone or TV for reading a book or relaxing music can be a small change with big benefits. Nutrition also plays a key role. Avoid very heavy dinners and cut back on afternoon caffeine to help the body prepare to rest. And something as simple as keeping the room dark, cool, and quiet can noticeably improve sleep quality. Remember this powerful phrase, your joints sleep with you too, and that's when they repair most. Each hour of deep rest is an investment in your cartilage's health, so caring for your sleep isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Now that you know rest's importance, it's time to talk about another ally that can boost regeneration even more: natural supplements. Recommended natural supplements. Besides good nutrition and intelligent movement, there are supplements science has studied for years that can give extra support in cartilage regeneration. They aren't miraculous, but used properly and consistently, they can make a difference. One of the best known is glucosamine. It's a substance that naturally forms part of cartilage. Taken as a supplement, it helps relieve pain and stiffness in people with osteoarthritis, and some studies have shown it can slow wear. Chondroitin usually accompanies glucosamine because the two work together. While glucosamine supports the formation of new cartilage components, chondroitin helps maintain elasticity and water retention. Together, they act like structural reinforcement that protects the joint from progressive deterioration. Hydrolyzed collagen is another popular supplement. Unlike collagen in its natural form, hydrolyzed collagen is more easily absorbed. Several studies suggest it can stimulate your body's own collagen production, improving cartilage health and reducing joint pain. Turmeric, though not a structural part of cartilage, has a very valuable anti-inflammatory effect. Its active component, curcumin, helps decrease the inflammation that accompanies many joint diseases, making it easier for cartilage to repair itself in a less aggressive environment. It's important to note that not all supplements work the same for everyone. Genetics, general health, and lifestyle habits influence results, and above all, beware excesses and false promises. The market is full of products offering miracle cures without scientific backing. A simple routine could include a daily capsule of glucosamine and chondroitin, 1 dose of hydrolyzed collagen dissolved in water or a smoothie, and regular use of turmeric in cooking. All this paired with a vitamin C-rich diet to enhance collagen synthesis. The key is understanding that supplements don't replace nutrition or movement. They're a complement, an extra push to help cartilage receive what it needs. The orthopedist's secret. After years observing her patients, the orthopedist designed what she called a 24-hour protocol. It wasn't a complicated formula, nor an endless list of costly treatments. It was a set of simple habits, timed just right, that together managed to activate cartilage's regenerative capacity. The first step was proper nutrition. Starting the day with nutrients that stimulate collagen production and reduce inflammation was essential. A breakfast with vitamin C-rich fruits like kiwi or orange, accompanied by a protein source, laid the groundwork to nourish cartilage from the first hour. The second component was gentle, specific movement. It wasn't about intense training or forced long walks, but brief, low-impact exercises that activated circulation and sent nutrients to cartilage. Water movements, gentle stretching, or even sit-to-stand exercises from a chair several times a day were enough to make a difference. The third pillar of the protocol was optimal hydration. Cartilage is largely water, and its ability to absorb impact depends directly on staying hydrated. The orthopedist insisted her patients drink water throughout the day, not only when thirsty. She even recommended natural infusions as a complement for those who struggled to drink enough. Finally, there was the key supplement administered at the right time. It wasn't enough to take glucosamine, chondroitin, or hydrolyzed collagen haphazardly. The secret was to do it at the precise hour to coincide with the moments when the body absorbs them best. For example, after a vitamin C-rich meal or before restorative rest. One testimonial she shared was Julia's, a 72-year-old woman who arrived with severe knee pain. Julia thought she'd never walk more than a few blocks again. But after following the protocol for 3 months, her life changed. She not only reduced pain, she regained confidence to move without fear. She went out strolling with her friends again, and even dared to resume the morning walks she'd abandoned years earlier. Why did this protocol work so fast? The explanation is simple. By combining nutrients, movement, hydration, and supplements in one 24-hour cycle, the body received constant repair signals. Instead of waiting months to notice changes, daily stimuli generated small micro-regenerations that over time accumulated into visible results. It wasn't magic. It was science applied at the right moment, and though each person may experience improvements to different degrees, those who followed the protocol noticed changes that once seemed impossible. Nothing inspires more confidence than seeing others achieve the seemingly unreachable. That's why the orthopedist always shared her patients' stories. They weren't isolated cases or inexplicable miracles, but examples of how small changes can transform daily life. One of those stories is Rosa's, an older woman who had spent nearly a decade suffering intense knee pain. She could barely board a bus or walk to the corner shop. Rosa applied the protocol with discipline. She changed her diet, added supplements, performed gentle exercises each morning, and cared for her night's rest. In 3 months, she could walk several blocks without pain. In 6, she went out dancing again, something she thought lost forever. Her smile when telling her experience was the best proof the effort was worth it. Another case is Ernesto's, a 75-year-old man who had lost hand mobility. He couldn't open jars or hold tools as before. That limitation frustrated him because he had been a carpenter all his life. Applying the 24-hour protocol focused on anti-inflammatory foods, collagen supplements, and gentle hand mobility exercises, Ernesto began to notice progressive improvement. In a few months, he regained enough strength to return to small woodworking projects. "I didn't get my 20s back, but I got my life back," he would say proudly. Each of these stories reinforces a powerful message. No matter your age or how long you've lived with pain, there's always a chance to improve. Results don't arrive overnight, but consistency opens doors that once seemed shut forever. If they could, you can too. And that is the most valuable lesson. Cartilage isn't doomed to inevitable deterioration. With proper care, with patience, and with the right habits, your body can still surprise you. Warnings and mistakes that destroy your cartilage. Just as there are habits that strengthen your joints, there are also customs that harm them silently, even without you noticing. Recognizing these mistakes is as important as knowing the remedies, because what destroys quickly can also be avoided quickly. One of the most damaging factors is repetitive movement. Actions like climbing many flights all at once, running long distances on hard surfaces, or carrying excessive weight day after day create micro-injuries that weaken cartilage. You don't notice it first, but over the years that wear accumulates and appears as constant pain. Excess weight is another silent enemy. Every extra kilo multiplies pressure on knees and hips. To give you an idea, walking with 5 extra kilos is like carrying a heavy backpack every day, but on your joints. Over time, that load accelerates cartilage deterioration. Sedentary habits don't help either. Staying seated or inactive too long prevents cartilage from receiving needed nutrients. Remember, this tissue has no direct blood vessels. It depends on movement to be nourished. If you don't move, it dries and loses elasticity. Another common mistake is the excessive use of certain drugs without medical supervision. Some pain relievers can be useful at specific times, but taking them continuously can negatively affect joint health and mask the real problem. Immediate relief doesn't always mean healing. And let's not forget lack of hydration. Cartilage is, in large part, water. Without enough fluid, it becomes fragile and loses its shock-absorbing capacity. Drinking water isn't just general advice, it's indispensable to keep your joints alive. The message is clear. Many mistakes that damage your cartilage are in your hands. Avoiding them doesn't require great sacrifices, just attention and discipline. Because what destroys quickly can also be avoided quickly. The future of joint regeneration. Although today we're talking about habits, nutrition, and supplements, medical science isn't standing still and is taking huge steps toward new solutions to regenerate cartilage. One of the most promising advances is the use of stem cells. These cells can transform into different tissue types, including cartilage. Trials injecting stem cells into damaged joints have already been conducted, with encouraging results, reduced pain, and improved mobility. Biologic therapies are also gaining ground. Platelet-rich plasma, for example, uses components of the patient's own blood to stimulate tissue repair. This technique has been applied in athletes and is increasingly being studied for older adults with joint problems. Tissue engineering is another fascinating field. Scientists are experimenting with bioprinting, three-dimensional printing of tissues, to create new cartilage from living cells. Though still experimental, it opens a horizon where replacing damaged cartilage could become an everyday reality in a few years. The most important thing is to understand the fatalistic view cartilage doesn't regenerate is being left behind. Regenerative medicine is advancing at a surprising pace, and what seems impossible today will be commonplace tomorrow. That hopeful future reminds us of something key. While science arrives with more sophisticated solutions, you can start caring for your joints today with what's already within reach. Throughout this journey, we've discovered together that cartilage is not dead tissue condemned to wear. It is living tissue, responsive to what you eat, how you move, how much you rest, and the decisions you make each day. You learned that nutrition is its foundation, that intelligent movement nourishes it, that deep sleep repairs it, and that proper supplements can be extra support. We also saw there are mistakes that destroy it quickly, but with small changes they can be avoided. And we met stories of people who, by applying simple habits, regained mobility and hope. The message is clear. Cartilage can regenerate if you give it what it needs. It is never too late to start caring for your joints, no matter your age. Discipline and consistency are your best allies. Remember this phrase. It's never too late to start caring for your joints. Your body is wiser and more resilient than you imagine. It only needs you to listen and support it. Before I say goodbye, I want to invite you to leave me a comment telling me how old you are and from which country you're watching me. I'd love to read you and know this message is reaching people in different parts of the world. And if this content was useful to you, don't forget to share it, subscribe, and activate the bell so we can keep learning together. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey toward joint health. Remember, your steps still have a long road ahead.